There's this kind of dark psychological trigger that can make people instantly respect you. And it has absolutely nothing to do with being loud or aggressive. It's this quiet, strategic tool called calculated unpredictability. So let's really dive into what that means.
Just think about that for a second. We humans are basically biological pattern recognition machines, right? It's how we survived out in the wild. So when someone looks at you, their brain is subconsciously trying to map you out to figure out your pattern. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. When people feel safe because they can predict you, well, that safety doesn't translate to respect.
Okay, but we have to get something straight right from the get-go. There is a massive difference here. We are not talking about emotional chaos, being erratic, unstable, just reacting to everything. That doesn't get you respect. It just signals you have no control. What we're talking about is something way more deliberate, way more strategic. It's a choice to break patterns when it serves you.
So why is our natural tendency to be this predictable open book such a huge liability? Let's get into the trap that it creates for us. This is where it gets serious. When people can map you out, they basically have a remote control to your emotions. If your enemy knows that one specific insult will make you angry, they own you. If your boss knows you're a people pleaser who will always say yes to extra work, guess what? You have zero leverage. You become a pawn on their chessboard because they already know your next 5 moves. And look, this isn't some new age life hack. It's a classic power strategy. Robert Greene literally codified it as Law 17 in the 48 Laws of Power. The idea isn't just to be random for the sake of it, it's to keep people guessing, to keep them off balance, and that forces them to react to your moves. It puts you in control.
Okay, so we get the theory, but what does this suspended terror actually look like in the real world, especially when the stakes are incredibly high? For a perfect example, let's look at the world of elite combat sports, specifically the fight IQ of a guy like UFC legend Jon Jones. His approach is the perfect case study. He doesn't just fight his opponent's body, he wages a full-on war against their mind.
And his method is just brilliant. First, he spends the first round just downloading his opponent's rhythm, gathering data. Then, he starts to establish false patterns. He'll throw the same body kick over and over, conditioning the other guy to expect it. And then, just when his opponent thinks he's got it figured out, bam, he breaks the rhythm completely. A spinning elbow out of nowhere. Or that famous head kick against Daniel Cormier that came after a dozen body kicks. And that's the real weapon here. It's psychological. When the opponent's brain can't find the pattern, it short circuits. It creates what they call analysis paralysis. They freeze up. They're so terrified of what might come next that they stop attacking altogether. In that moment of hesitation, they are completely paralyzed by the unknown. And that's when Jones takes total control. Now, this strategy feels like an art form, right? It feels intuitive. But what's absolutely fascinating is that it's also backed up by cold, hard mathematics. Let's look at the logic behind it. And for that, we turn to game theory. There's this concept called the mixed strategy Nash equilibrium, and it basically proves that in a competitive game where one person's win is another's loss, the single most rational, optimal strategy you can have is to be random. Think about it. A system that's completely logical can be hacked, but one that introduces calculated random anomalies, that system is impenetrable. This chart breaks it down perfectly. If you use a pure strategy, like, say, always throwing rock in a game of rock, paper, scissors, you're gonna get beaten pretty fast. It's too predictable. But a mixed strategy where you randomize your moves, well, that makes you impossible to reliably counter. You completely neutralize your opponent's ability to get a read on you. So at this point, unpredictability sounds like a superpower, doesn't it? But here's the twist. This is a tool, not a cure-all. And if you use this incredibly powerful tool in the wrong environment, it is absolutely, positively destructive. Yeah, the academic research is crystal clear on this. In a cooperative setting, like a work team, an unpredictable leader doesn't create respect. They create chaos. They create anxiety and trigger internal power struggles that just completely tank the team's performance. In fact, one study found that an unpredictable boss causes more physiological stress than a boss who is just consistently unfair. That's wild. At least with consistent unfairness, you know what's coming. But unpredictability forces everyone into a self-protective survival mode, and that destroys the trust a team needs to actually get anything done. So we've got a pretty clear conflict here, right? In one context, this is a strategic weapon. In another, it's a poison. So how do we figure this out? Well, it all comes down to knowing one thing. And this is the crucial distinction you have to make.
You have to identify the game you're in. Are you in a zero-sum competition where for you to win, someone else has to lose, like poker or a negotiation? Or are you in a positive-sum game, a game of cooperation, where the only way anyone wins is if you all work together?
This table is really the ultimate takeaway here. In a zero-sum game, being predictable makes you a target, and unpredictability gives you a massive strategic edge. But in games that rely on coordination or long-term trust, predictability is what creates efficiency, stability, and alignment. In that world, unpredictability doesn't make you powerful. It just makes you unreliable. It leads to systemic failure.
At the end of the day, calculated unpredictability is an incredibly powerful tool. There's no doubt about it. But its value is completely dependent on the context. Before you decide to keep people on their toes, you have to be absolutely sure of the game you're playing. The answer to one simple question changes everything. Are you playing to win, or are you playing to win together?